had to do more. Okay, thank you. So hopefully y'all are all okay with recording. We haven't sent it out the last couple of times, but we hope to get in that habit to get it sent out so people who aren't able to attend. So I want to say welcome to everybody to our coordinated community response. And hopefully y'all are all doing okay. With this spring weather and allergy. And my husband just looked at our front porch and said, no wonder my allergies are so bad. It looks like it snowed pollen on the front porch. So anyway, want to welcome everybody here. And a lot of times we have somebody for the first time. So looking at who's here, I think most everybody has been here at least once. So want to welcome you, and also just remind that this group started in 2020 in March. We didn't let much time go by before we started meeting to try to keep up with all the changes during COVID. And we continue to meet as there continue to be many needs. And this is a way we can network and share. Also, we coordinate with Bristol Coalition that meets on the second Tuesday at 12 noon. It's meeting in the Bristol, Virginia Housing Authority Find a Way and Vision Center area, as well as hybrid for online. So we try to coordinate, and I'll go ahead and say, Linda Austin, I think you're going to be the program in June for them. If you've haven't been asked, I think you will be. I don't think it's May. I think they're looking at June. Anyway, so hopefully we can we'll get that PR out, and Linda can update us in a little bit, but they're opening their women's program in Abingdon for housing that is phenomenal to have that facility. So that'll be good to hear a little bit today, and then a full program at the Bristol Coalitions. So, and that's how we try to coordinate, so we don't duplicate efforts and try to have different things. So our format is we're going to do a little bit of a program, and then there'll be time for everybody to network and share. You can put your information in the chat at any time. We will send out the chat, and again, try to get the program out. Also, if our program person is willing to share his PowerPoint, we'll include that when we send out the follow-up email. So with that, I'll go ahead and welcome Major, it says David Gilliam, it's Brooks Gilliam. I could have changed that for you. Anyway, Major Gilliam, and he's been at our Salvation Army. This is your ending your second year or third year?
Just getting to the end of my second
year. And as for me, as working with Family Promise of Bristol and the partnership we have with Salvation Army, I can't say enough good things about Major Gilliam. Also, let's see, Shannon was on here. There she is, Shannon Dow, who's on here. And they also have a new case manager as well that is just starting. But the job that they do, the leadership that Major Gilliam provides to Salvation Army and our community, I believe is phenomenal. And it's just been a huge a pleasure might be an understatement, but huge comfort, huge pleasure, huge opportunity to work with Salvation Army and under Major Gilliam's leadership. So with that, we've asked him to talk today. We know housing is in a crisis. We know sheltering is in a crisis, and you all work in these fields, but I think it's important to hear from the folks who are on the front lines. And the front lines are the shelters, which for us, the primary ones are Salvation Army and Haven Arrest. And then day services that include Family Promise of Bristol, Proverbs 3:27. And then we also have recovery programs in addition to that for shelter housing, transitional housing. So this month we have Major Gilliam, and next month Brian Plank from Haven Arrest. And it's important for us to be reminded where we are. With that, I could keep talking, but I'm not the program. So Major Gilliam, if you want to share your screen and get started, that would be great.
Very good. Everybody can see it?
It looks lovely.
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to say, Lori and I have been here 2 years. We are so thankful for our partnership with Family Promise, with the Haven Arrest, and our other community partners. We could not do what we do without the partnerships that we have. So really, really love Bristol in the fact that we're all able to work together. Well, let's see if I can make this work. So, who am I? Why should you care? You shouldn't. My wife, Lori, and I came to Bristol 2 years ago. We've been Salvation Army officers. I've been 28 years. Lori's been 29 years. We've spent that time bouncing around the southern 13 states, working for the Salvation Army. So that means we pastor the church. I'm the head janitor. Pretty much any hat that needs to be filled, we fill that. But in Bristol, the Salvation Army has been here since 1888, servicing the community. The big thing that I have learned everywhere that I've went is when we try to go it alone, we end up very, very frustrated. I am confident enough in my abilities to do my job, but there is no way I can meet every need, fill every gap, raise every dollar that's needed. There are plenty of great nonprofits out there, and when we can set aside differences or look at each other as friends and co-workers or co-laborers in the field, then we can see a lot better results. And so that's really the attitude that I take in my approach. And in saying that, we, as the Salvation Army in Bristol, want to partner with anybody who has the same love and the same passion for those we have the privilege to serve in our community. When I came to Bristol, I don't know that our services had maybe necessarily the best reputation, particularly amongst the unsheltered community. There were a lot of barriers to the shelter here. I've worked over the last couple of years to really try to remove obstacles for people to be able to get off of the streets. I think we've been somewhat successful in that. Now we've just got to find a way to remove barriers to get into permanent housing or transitional housing. I will say up front that personally and organizationally, we do not always get it right. We're not as bad as some folks that don't like us say, but we don't always get it right. And we believe that communication and trust is important between our clients and us, between our partners and us. So I would encourage you to pick up the phone. If there's ever a question about something you've heard about us, pick up the phone and call if there's a concern in addressing a client's need. I welcome that, and I will leave my contact information in the chat after the presentation. So the challenge that we've really seen, it is amazing the difference in Bristol from when I came here 2 years ago till today, not only in the service that's being provided amongst everybody in the community, but the unsheltered community looked nothing like it does today. We just had this absolute explosion of need for shelter. And there's some numbers here that'll show that. We're anticipating the new point in time count that has been done to see what's been documented and see how that matches what we are experiencing. But the previous year's pit count counted only 392 homeless and 111 unsheltered in our total region. And I believe that region goes from somewhere near Knoxville all the way up here to the state line on Tennessee, maybe also the Virginia side of Bristol. But we knew that we had served more people than that. For this past year, we served 872 unique individuals. That was compared to serving 306 in the prior year, which we absolutely were not prepared for. We're still trying to adjust, trying to figure out what's needed and what we can do with the limited resources we have. In Bristol, there are only 78 shelter beds between us and the Haven Arrest. Whenever cold weather comes, we call it white flag. I believe Haven calls it red flag, and Brian will tell you a little bit more about that, I'm sure, when he presents for you next month. But we can add another 30 beds. We'll bring cots in and put them up for folks to stay. But that said, we have been at capacity for over a year. Usually we see when warmer weather comes, folks would normally leave us and move on or go camp or all kinds of other things. But we're not having that happen now. And it is putting a real strain on resources and staff, on case management, not only for us, but for our partners. I'm going to talk about my partnership, or our partnership with Family Promise here in just a second. But our case managers are seeing like 60 to 80 clients per manager, which is just absolutely not sustainable for them. So our partnership with Family Promise started maybe 6 months ago, maybe just a little bit longer. And a place to be was begun as a day center to offset when Proverbs 3:27 ministries would be going on at Hunt Memorial. It very quickly grew. I think on average, it's 40 to 50 individuals a day. But the important thing is what that has meant for the people we're seeing. Now, we have folks that come that are not staying at the Salvation Army shelter. But for the people who are at the shelter for us, we have tracked this past year, and we've gone from less than 10% moving out of our emergency shelter into permanent housing to, because of the case management being provided by Family Promise case managers, 38% of our clients, our visitors, our guests are being able to go into permanent housing. And really, truly, in a minute, we're going to talk about the lack of permanent housing. That number could probably be higher. The resources are there and the desire is there, but the lack of housing is kind of holding us back. You can see in the rest of that slide, Day Center is operating on limited staff. If you know folks who would be interested in volunteering, Family Promise has their website, has some forms up there. They would love volunteers. Some other things that have really helped us in our case management for our clients has been relationships that we've not had with other care providers, organizations. We've been able to kind of expand on that. And so Frontier, Highland, Ballad, Arch has been coming in as well. All these other services are able to come in. We're able to provide a central place where everybody's at. They're able to come in. It benefits those that we're serving. It's connecting them with, Bristol Lifestyle Recovery is coming in and working with folks. We've had a number that have entered recovery. We're real excited about. We're hoping to expand upon mental health services. We've had ETSU come and do some foot care clinics, just being able to be a central point for folks to come in and serve the community that we're serving. We're really excited about that. One thing I would say is that we definitely need to see mental health care expand it, which I'm sure you're experiencing as well. So our biggest obstacle is just the availability of affordable housing, or really at this point, housing at all. There's a lack of housing that qualifies for the programs that are there to house people. We've seen a lot of landlords post-COVID kind of put everybody out, to slap some paint on the thing and say they've remodeled, and then jack up the rent so that it's above what Section 8 or the Housing Authority will allow them. We know that the median rent has risen 65% in the past year, and I put that number together. I checked, that's been 2 or 3 months. I'm sure it's probably gone up a bit since then. There is no transitional housing for us in this area. And the Tri-Cities has the only shelters that sit between like here and Roanoke. So we're getting all of the folks from Southwest Virginia, getting folks from the outlying areas, which is fine. That's what we're here for. But we're an emergency shelter. We need somewhere to transition people to. We've seen federal funding decrease, CDBG, other programs. It's a long-term problem. It's taken 40 years to get here. We're probably not going to, figure out anything to solve it overnight. But the more that we can kind of get that message out and let people know what's going on, it is helpful. So that was all the good news, right? We want to look for solutions, and some of the ideas that we've kind of floated around and talking with partners and other organizations, talked with the city and different folks. So we really need to see in the area established a crisis center or a crisis response team. The number of folks that we encounter who are in some type of mental health crisis seems to be increasing. The drug use probably is not helping with that at all. We would like to see lockers for the unhoused. One of the problems for people is when you're not in a shelter and don't have a place to store your stuff, it's kind of hard to find a job when you're carrying your luggage in with you, walking in the building. It also puts kind of a target on people's back and the stigma that goes along with being unhoused because they're walking around. The lack of access to public bathrooms and showers. The capacity needs to be raised really probably nationwide, but definitely in our city and in the Tri-Cities to expand shelter beds, the number of shelter beds. Support for cold weather nights. We have about 101. We just had this past weekend, the temperature dipped down, and the shelter experiences the same hiring problems everybody else is experiencing. So we're having a hard time hiring people. Right now, my shelter should have 4 monitors. We're working on 2. They're working without rest, looking at trying to find time off, and that is very difficult whenever you're short staffed. So trying to find a way to get a volunteer program to where we can kind of assist staff with support that they need in the evenings, and a designated place for unhoused to go who are unwilling to enter shelter. I know that seems odd, but there are people that, whether it's PTSD, whether it is past trauma, they will not enter a shelter, or maybe they're just not able to live in a group setting. And so working with both Bristols, trying to identify a place where they can camp and not get arrested, not get charged with a felony for simply existing. So long term, the solution is affordable housing. We need more housing built. Housing first with permanent supportive housing. That model has proven to be 80% effective. It started out with the VA using it. We've seen it in other communities work. We really want to see that happen. Prioritizing the chronically homeless. So one of the things that we've done this year is purposely bringing as many care providers around the table as we can, and starting to look at what we call our frequent flyers, and discussing what are the obstacles for this person. Is it education? Is it mental health? Is it addiction? What is it that they just don't know how to live in permanent housing when they get it and then end up getting put out? What are those barriers? And then trying to focus intense case management on that, or connect them with folks that can do some coaching and mentoring for them to help them be successful. And we're starting to see some good results with that. It can also be incredibly frustrating sometimes when you see setbacks, but we are seeing some results there. Partnerships, supported services. We need collaborative relationships with people who provide services that the Salvation Army won't ever provide. We are never going to be a medical facility. We're never going to be a mental health facility, but we have people who have those needs. So trying to get everybody around the table and trying to get all of us on the same page is really, really important. And that's really been our focus. And then finally, increase mental health services. So I know I kind of ran through that, but if you have questions for me, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yep, questions and or comments from anyone?
Hey, this is Gabby Smith. I'm with the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking. We work with individuals who've experienced sexual exploitation or labor trafficking. I know you're talking about kind of trying to find some transitional programs. Of course, it has to be specific to trafficking. You know, the client has to qualify for our program, but we do have a transitional program in Knoxville that I'd love to give you some info about if that's ever, if the individual qualifies for that and they're willing to go to Knoxville, we'd be happy to arrange transportation and do all of that. So
I would love that. We have a lot of folks that come through that that tends to be an issue. So I'd love to get together and talk.
yeah, absolutely. We really try to focus on, we know trafficking happens because people's vulnerabilities are targeted, and being unhoused is one of the biggest vulnerabilities a person can have. So yeah, absolutely. I'll put my info in the chat for you.
Good.
Yeah, and Gabby, at some point we want you to do a program as well. So we'll work on that too. So, okay.
Major Gilliam, I have two questions. One, I don't know if you can answer. First of all, thank you for this presentation. It was fantastic. I really appreciate it. You said that Section 8 housing starts at $550 for a 1-bedroom. So does that allow for supplementing over and above that $550 if another organization is able to supplement that $550, or no? Okay.
No.
All right. And the other thing, you said that, one of the short-term goals is to find a designated place for people to be who, for whatever reason, are unable or unwilling to be placed in emergency shelters. How's that coming along?
It's not. They haven't run me out of town with pitchforks and fire yet, but we're probably close to it.
Is there something that we can do that this group can do to help support that?
I think that the more noise that's made, I think that both city councils need to hear that there's a need for this, that the laws have pushed people towards private property. It just ties up police resources. And I know nobody wants stuff in their backyard, but there's got to be somewhere that can be provided where people can go. The police know they're there and it can be patrolled so that they have a safe place to be.
Thank you.
I don't think we've made that specific ask directly to to our city.
Not to
council.
Tennessee. I made the ask with a group to the Virginia Council, and it
Okay.
was immediately shut down.
Okay. And other communities are doing that. And believe me, there's a lot. If you visit Salvation Army, and you're welcome to Family Promise when we're there, and help with a little tour. We do have a visitor policy that we send out ahead of time. But the dormitories sleep 12, 15 people in bunk beds, and a lot of folks just cannot cope with that. And a lot of us on here, we might not be able to do that for very long before things just get on your nerves so badly you just can't do it, with everybody in your business and snoring and people coughing and being sick and you name it. Putting that many people in a small space can just be really hard for people, so understandably hard. So
And that's a challenge. It's not just us. A lot of shelters, you were built for a smaller population that we served years ago. And now we're just trying to get as much space for it and get as many people in off the street as you can. And with the rising cost of everything, I mean, we were looking at what the cost to just do a renovation upstairs at double capacity. What would have cost us, $400,000 or $500,000 in the past now cost almost $2 million to do. And it's crazy.
other comments, questions? So, I was gonna say a couple of things from this group. Family Promise pays for 2 porta potties. One's at Haven Arrest, one's at Salvation Army. Those are open 24/7. Sometimes a little problem with cleanliness, but in general, they have worked well and not had any major vandalism or mistreatment. But we need to have one at the other end of town. If you're in desperate situation, walking 3 blocks might not make it. So if y'all have any contacts, anybody who'd be willing to host a porta potty, we could probably find payment for that, but need to be looking at that. Melissa, for yours, HUD looks at the rule of thumb, probably most people aware, it's 30% of your income. So when they look at that, and part of the reason to not take supplemental is basing it on what they can do in the future, not just now or for 6 months or whatever, is being sure that it can be sustained. But maybe that 30% is not appropriate anymore. It might need to be raised. And it is very difficult, probably in every community. And right now in ours, it's extraordinarily difficult. We're also seeing landlords who got, these are tough times through the eviction moratorium. It was tough for landlords. A lot of them are just done, and they have sold their apartment complexes to a group, a corporation. And so it's not being able to work with people who are community members who are, wanting to have a thriving community. It's people who don't live here, who are looking at their bottom line first and foremost and always. So just a lot of different issues going on. And I'll say, working with Family Promise, and it just breaks your heart there. We have also about doubled. So for this year from last year, for the number of people who are coming in, we're seeing older folks. Breaks your heart to see people who are 65, 70, older, with health problems, who may have disabilities, who are unsheltered perhaps for the first time. Yesterday had a woman who was experiencing homelessness for the first time. There was no room for her to be sheltered. It was raining. So it just absolutely breaks your heart. And I think we're going to see more of it. The other thing more recently, I think it's just been since January that we've experienced people with sickness like cancer, people who are being sheltered, who are going through chemo. People who, one of our regulars was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And after working with him a little bit, he was able to qualify for hospice. Some of his extended family were found to host him for the last few months of his life. But some extraordinarily serious things. And thank you, Shannon, for the chat. So it's a lot of really serious things that we wish we were not experiencing here in our community. So it's figuring out how can we have that humane treatment and help folks. So anybody else have any comments or questions or anything along these lines? So Major Gilliam, sounds like we could try to make more effort with several of the issues. So hopefully we can figure out how to pull in our folks here and be able to speak as one voice and move some things, the lower hanging fruit, forward on some of the issues. So appreciate you, appreciate Shannon. Why don't so I'll start calling on people, and Shannon, would you like to add anything as Salvation Army Pathways of Hope?
Yeah, absolutely. Our Pathway of Hope program is expanding. We currently received a grant from the state of Tennessee to expand our program. Pretty soon we're going to be offering events in Tennessee to help advance families and see what we can do. If you have anybody who is interested in family or in Pathway of Hope, please don't hesitate to send us any referrals. We would love to talk to them and see what we could do to help them out.
And Shannon, on your website, there's more information about that program. Yes, Major saying yes. So
Yes, and just the quick version of that is that it is for families with children. And it is, instead of just piecemealing assistance for homeless prevention, that kind of thing, we look at the root cause and then put as many resources as we can towards whatever the root cause is.
right. And that's Family Promise also works in the area of prevention, rapid rehousing, but it's dependent on how much grant money we have, which we have a grant that'll be coming. We don't want to talk about it too much till we get the contract. So anyway, and that's where we'll work hand in hand with Salvation Army to see where does the family fit best and where does the money come from. So we'll coordinate those efforts. So, all right, Arch, I'm looking to Ann Sparkman. Would you like to add some things in on this?
Thank you, Major Gilliam, for that presentation. I know we have Doug and his outreach team come once a week and help y'all. They're very impressed with what you are doing there. And we're waiting on money too, Margaret, kind of in the holding pattern, waiting on more money for things. And we've hired some people for Johnson County, a grant that we got for them up there. And so things are happening, but not enough to address all these people in need. But appreciate all of y'all and what everybody's doing.
And I know y'all have advertised about your AmeriCorps program. So if people are interested in AmeriCorps, contact Ann.
Definitely. We're still looking for people for this to finish this grant, and then we start a new one in August. So
right.
Thank you for all of that.
Family Promise has depended on that program, and we've had some great Your core workers. So, Tony,
Pardon me?
I was going to call on Tony DeLucia if he's ready.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's good.
I'm in the lobby at Bristol Regional, so it's noisy. But I just wanted to put in that this has been a really incredible discussion. Salvation Army in Johnson City is going to be part of our conference, Sparking Resilience: How the Northeast Tennessee region can forge a recovery ecosystem for veterans. It's going to discuss much more than veterans. And I think I got you the QR code, Margaret, and the free code. If not, if it didn't come to you in a mail, I will send it to you.
We'll send it out to everybody. So that
Thank
sounds
you.
great. And when is that?
May 25th and 26th at the DoubleTree in Johnson City. We're going to feed you real good.
Okay, thank you, Tony. And Tony's with ETSU and has been part of different groups, networks for many years, and with a lot of different creative projects. So Tony, we appreciate you. Okay, Linda Austin, do you want to give brief, and then we'll look forward to getting a bigger information from you later too.
Sure. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda Austin. I direct the Appalachian Substance Abuse Coalition for Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery in far Southwest Virginia. We're a regional umbrella coalition that covers 13 counties and 3 cities. So this week, we've been in your Virginia Middle School. I'm at with Jason Matlock and about 500 middle schoolers. So we trained 115 students and dispensed Narcan to them. Their parents came to the school and picked that up. So they did get the education. And hopefully their parents will share in that education as well about the importance of Narcan. In March, we dispensed 1,663 Narcan kits. About 1,400 of those went to students, primarily in Washington County and the city of Bristol, Virginia High. We had the governor at Virginia High and the first lady and the commissioner of health on March 23rd. Mended Women, the ribbon cutting, our Attorney General Jason Miyares cut the ribbon on April 13th. And we had about 200 people show up at the ribbon cutting, which the chamber was a little overwhelmed with. Nobody could figure out how to get everybody in the photograph. So we don't have proof of it, but there were a lot of people there. So many people are excited about what's happening in the middle of Abingdon. We put up a post Friday night about midnight saying that we needed help decorating and getting the rooms ready with bedding and shower curtains and all that good stuff, and had a few more than 100 people respond for the rooms. So there's lots of excitement. So we're thankful for that. Not one pushback, not one negative comment have I heard. So we're thankful. The next ASAC meeting is actually a resource and networking fair that's going to be held at the University of Virginia in Wise. So if any of you would like to attend that, we would love it. We had 47 vendors at our first event last June. Our June meetings we've turned into the networking events and the resource fair. So if any of you are not on the ASAC list and would like to be, so you can get notice of our meetings, which happen every other month, and also events and workshops and things that we're doing, we'd be happy to add you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How about, is Nikki Fraction still on with veterans?
Yes. I'm Nikki Fraction with Volunteers America Chesapeake Veteran Homeless Program in the Southwest Virginia area, and we're still taking referrals, and I will put our intake number in the chat, but no new changes.
Thank you very much. And what about Chelsea Collins? Is she still on? I don't see her right now. So, okay, how about our cities? Oh, Chelsea, I'm sorry, I see you.
Sorry, it's Chelsea Kalia. So I was a little
Kalia,
bit.
I'm sorry, I wrote it down wrong.
No
Sorry.
worries. I figured. So I'm with the Mountain Home VA. I already put my information in the chat. Work with the Homeless Veteran Program. One of our programs is to refer to Nikki for action. And then there's also VOA on the Tennessee side as well. But I came into this meeting a little bit late. I was on the phone with a veteran, but so I missed part of the presentation, but I just wanted to say that I've been coming to the Salvation Army up there in Bristol usually once a month, sometimes twice a month, to go visit with veterans that are there at the day center. So that's been really, really productive. And the day center has been very accommodating, and that's ended up being a great resource. So just wanted to shout out to that. That's been a good opportunity for me to encounter veterans, especially though I have several veterans in the Bristol area that don't have phones, or their phones come in and out of working. So that's been a good like one-stop location that I can count on to meet with my folks that I'm working with. So just shout out to them for that. But just a plug, if you guys have any veterans that come into your facilities that are needing some assistance, you can reach out to me and we can do what we can to assist them. Thank you.
And be sure in any kind of interview or intake, and I know some of it's already set, but be sure early on ask about being veterans, because the veteran services do have a lot of things that if people can get plugged in, it can be tremendously helpful. So be sure that's early in a conversation so you can find out if they get plugged into those services. So, okay, thank you very much, Chelsea. And I've been there a couple times when you've been there, and we greatly appreciate all our partners who come in. We have a lot of different people coming in, and we everybody appreciates. So thank you. Ellen Tolton, Bristol, Virginia.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank Major Gilliam. That was great information, and I can use it for my program. And I'm also going to make sure that I'm going to share it with our administration, so they know what's going on. The only thing I have to mention is City of Bristol, Virginia, we're still forming our Community Development Block Grant annual action plan. And so if anybody has any comments or questions on how we spend the CDBG funding that we get for the upcoming year, please contact me. I did put my email in the chat, and I would welcome any comments, suggestions, questions, anything like that. CDBG funds do benefit the low to mod income individuals in the city. So if y'all have any suggestions, I'd be happy to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, much like Ellen, we are running multiple federal grants right now. Our 2023 annual action plan is out. A second public hearing will be held at our next city council meeting on May 2nd. And then our 30-day public comment period will go, I think, until the 12th or something. But you can get copies of that at the Bristol Public Library, Bristol Housing Office, Community Development Planning Office, here we are, and at the Slater Community Center, or online at bristoltn.org. Thank you, Major Gilliam. It's always good to hear. Well, good to hear from you, but sad to hear about how substantial the need is in our community. I feel like it is not just Bristol; it's everywhere right now. I do want to say, and I may regret this later, but we do have some funding for emergency projects right now. So if you know someone who may have a housing repair that is life-threatening, we are happy to try to help them with that as soon as possible. My information is in the chat. And I know we all remember this, but let's just call on our neighbors to show compassion and empathy for folks. You know, I think we know that, but our community could definitely get a lot better with that. So there's my soapbox. I'm getting off of it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, for that reminder. And I would say we all do need that reminder because a lot of times the compassion fatigue, the burnout, and also I know we try to talk about that the folks we see are the folks in the greatest need. And there's a lot of folks that we never see, but who are struggling and who benefit from a lot of these resources, et cetera. So when we get bummed out and really get jaded, et cetera, it's not everybody. It's there's a whole lot of other people as well. Anyway, and always important to try to keep that trauma-informed lens and ACEs and remember what people have been through and where they're coming from as we work with them. Melissa, I am looking at you with Frontier Health, and certainly we've talked about mental health. So do you want to share with us a little bit?
Absolutely. For one thing, I wanted to let everybody know as a reminder, because you might have seen it already, that we do have our big mental health awareness month for May kickoff this Saturday. It's for kids. It's called Kid Power. And so we focus on children's mental health and well-being. That's going to be Saturday from 10 to 2 at Discover Life in Johnson City. And so everyone's welcome to come out and celebrate with us. It is free for families to come out, and there's going to be free food and lots of fun and activities and games. So really looking forward to that. In addition, specific to Bristol, I wanted to let everybody know that I'm super excited to make the announcement that we have filled our children and youth coordinator position for Bristol Regional Counseling. It's going to be filled by Renee Crick, and Renee is actually working with Frontier already, so she's going to be transitioning into that position. She will officially start the new position June 5th. So we're looking forward to having her join our leadership team and all the great things that she's going to have. As far as the presentation today, I completely agree with Major Gilliam that the need for mental health has just increased so much, especially in the last couple of years. And one thing I wanted to mention, in case anybody is interested, I'm actually right now in the middle of writing a grant to expand, and the expansion, one of the expansion sites would focus on Bristol and Johnson County. Really all of Sullivan County would be housed in Bristol. It's a program that we currently have called Healthy Transitions, but right now we're only able to do that in Greenville and Greene County. And so I'd like to be able to expand into Hawkins, Sullivan, and Johnson if I could. And so that's what we're writing the grant for. Healthy Transitions, if you're not familiar with it, focuses on children who are becoming adults. So it's ages 6 to 25. So those children who are becoming adults and those young adults who are learning how to adult, as they say these days. And what we can offer them is free services of therapy, case management, employment, or education specialist, depending on which route they want to go, and peer support. So if anybody's interested in that, or you want to talk to me about what that might look like, or how we could work together and how you could support us in the grant, I would be very appreciative. It's a really competitive grant. There's only 15 going to be awarded across the country, but we're going to go for it.
So we definitely will want to hear about that if you get it. So definitely
Absolutely.
we'll put you on the agenda when that happens. And as everyone on here knows, there is not enough money to, it shouldn't have to be competitive. Things should be funded. The needs are huge, and just because you don't get money does not mean that your need goes away. So
yeah. And I'm looking at, even if we don't get it, I'm trying to think, what's my backup plan? So I've already got some ideas in place for that, because I love the program that we have and I want to see what we can do around that. So happy to talk to anybody about it. I did put my information in the chat, so if you have questions or thoughts, let me know.
Thank you very much. And I think check Hannah, she's left. She's Appalachian Literacy Project, and that is getting books into the hands of our children, and great program, and it's fourth graders. So we've got our Sullivan County Imagination Library, our Bristol Imagination Library, and that also needs to help people understand Dolly does not buy books. They need support. It provides the opportunity and support in choosing books and making those books easier to purchase. But anyway, so she has left her information in the chat. How about Layla Cruz from the Second Harvest Food Bank?
Hi, I'm joining in today to see what everybody's doing in the area and get some ideas. Of course, we're at the food bank, so we're willing to help anyone that would like to partner with us. We do have quite a few partners here with us today, and then we partner, of course, with Bristol Salvation Army too.
Thank you. And I know y'all have really expanded how those partnerships look with, and Kay Ward was on from Bristol, Tennessee City Schools, and their outreach with their reading programs, et cetera, are partnered with the Second Harvest. And so just lots of different ways of things happening than what they were originally. So I really appreciate that. Let's see, Melissa, and I don't see Eric. Yes, Melissa and Erica. Erica is going to go first from Appalachian Promise Alliance, formerly Bristol's Promise.
Hello. I don't have too many updates. We are still working through the Melissa's the rebrand's not a secret. Like, we've got the just making sure anyway. So still working through that, thinking through some policies and procedures, maybe a little bit of strategic planning, and the Bristol Connect program. I guess in our line of work, you never want to be too busy. So, good and bad. We've gotten several clients recently. So yeah, still working on expanding the Bristol Connect program, and just taking care of our people.
Okay, Melissa, you want to add to that?
I do, actually. First of all, we were there with Linda at the middle school. We had several of our staff members working with the middle schoolers to complete these resilience cards that allow them to find the points of resilience and positive experiences in their lifetime, trying to avoid the increase in substance use disorder as they get older. So it was a really great opportunity. It was a lot of middle schoolers, but it was a really great opportunity to connect with them. And so I'm thankful they did that. The Bristol Connect program that Erica was talking about is a workforce sustainability program. We work with partner businesses to provide support services for the employees. And that can look like C-suites, that can look like frontline workers. We've run the gambit. And I just wanted to give you this statistic from January 1st of 2023 through March 31st of 2023. We had about a 20% usage rate. So 20% of the employee workforce that we work with came and sought services with our community resource navigator. Of those, 52.4% were seeking housing or homelessness services. So these are folks who are working, who do not have a place to live, or who are at risk of not having a place to live. So a lot of what Major Brooks said today really resonates across the board. It's not those people, it's all of us.
So, yes. Thank you. And what I have been talking about a lot recently is, and we've talked a little bit about public perception and public knowledge and information, but in both of our communities, we have between about a 25% federal poverty level and then a 25% ALICE, asset limited, income constrained employed. So we're talking 50% of our population is either already struggling or on the edge. And I think that's something we need to get the word out to help our policymakers understand that. For us to keep that in perspective, that's a lot, and a lot of folks who really have great needs. So just always keeping in mind what we're doing to try to reach out and work with folks. Karen George with Family Promise, do you want to add anything?
Sure. As Major stated, we are still providing day services on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. And then we are still running our homeless prevention and rapid rehousing programs. And then, as Margaret said earlier, we are hoping to be able to unveil a new grant that we're getting, hopefully signing that contract soon. So we'll be happy to share that with you guys later as well. And then I'll let Margaret speak a little bit on the golf tournament that's coming up.
Oh yeah, we have a golf tournament just like just about everybody else, but we're really pleased. We're partnered with the Bristol Host Lions Club. We partnered last year with them and then repeating it again this year. So if any of y'all know golfers, and I think Second Harvest Food Bank, I think, is doing one too. Abuse Alternatives, May is a popular month. Ours is on May 15th. So please spread the word. We're still looking for sponsors. Also, just a note, board members, probably everybody's always looking for good board members. So if people know, I know Salvation Army is, I know Family Promise, we're always looking to build our board. Everybody's looking for funding. Also, if you haven't heard the terminology workforce affordable housing, that's a little bit of what Melissa was covering. And I can say, as my role on city council, when we talk to business people and economic development, adding that workforce affordable makes it more attractive than just talking about affordable. And we need housing across the board. If we could build our workforce affordable, that might free up some other housing for affordable housing. Also, Sullivan County Anti-Drug Coalition, that's not represented today, they have been facilitating a group trying to look for housing for substance use disorder folks who are experiencing that. And hopefully that group will continue meeting together and identifying some opportunities and figuring out how to move forward. Bristol's Promise, Appalachian Promise Alliance has a community calendar. So encourage y'all to look at that, to provide information to be posted there. It's pretty thorough as community calendars go. And so encourage you to do that. Also, the DEI, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Alliance has a workshop on the 12th of May, and I'll try to send out info on that. I know a lot of folks may not be able to have staff attend because of our own schedules, but knowing it's going on and sharing it with others, this is their second conference. It was pretty successful last year. So we'll try to get that out to folks. And with that, we're just a couple of minutes over, but Major Gilliam, we want to thank you, but also give you opportunity. Do you want to say anything else to add to our discussion or to wind us up?
I don't. Just thank you for the opportunity.
We thank you, and it's figuring out how can we, this is good for networking and coordinating, but we need to really take things to a next level to really work on. And our next meeting is May 26th, and that'll be Brian Plank from Heaven Arrest. Bristol Coalition is May 9th. At 12 noon. That's in person and hybrid, and I think they've been having some great attendance. And I'm not sure what that program will be. I think, Linda, are you confirmed for June, or has Lynn just said you're doing it? You don't know.
I have not heard from her yet.
Check your calendar so that you'll be ready when she contacts you. And I try to send that out ahead of time. I don't usually get it till Friday. So sometimes occasionally I get it out on Tuesday right before, but you can always put a tentative on your calendars to know that's happening. So, okay, anybody have anything else that they forgot and want to jump in? If not, we appreciate you very much, appreciate the work that everybody does, sensitive to where people are with stress and burnout and just a lot happening. So appreciate the work that all of you do. And we'll see you at the end of May. So if you have communications to go out, there's also a legal aid workshop about rent to own that Lynn Pennell sent out. I will try to get that out too and it probably applies to just rent to own overall. So probably is not limited to Virginia for helping our clients navigate and realize that's not always the best route to take. So with that, I will thank everybody for attending and hope to see you soon and be in touch if you have things that we need to share. Take care. Bye-bye.